Vach Shlomo.
Vach Dovele, I'm overjoyed to see you. Do we have time?
All the time in the world.
All the time in the world. Okay, Dovele, let me tell you, before we begin being happy that Mashiach is coming and the Mashiach came, I want to tell you my favorite sad, beautiful Tisha B'Av story. It's a short story I once read. I was in Rome, and I got myself a book of Italian short stories. Okay, this is a short story. A husband and wife live in Florence, and they loved each other very much, but somehow they were fighting all the time. So they decide, let's separate for half a year. And she said she's going back to her parents to Rome, and he said that he will just travel a little bit. And they're supposed to meet again in 6 months. And then they'll see how it feels. But one thing, every Friday he promised he'll write her a letter. Just to let her know where he is, because he's traveling. Okay, the first Friday she gets a letter. He says, I just want you to know that I'm having a wonderful time. Don't ask me. I went to this singles bar in Paris, and he says, do I have to go into details? And he writes a whole long story. He had this affair, and it's unbelievable. She's so broken, gewalt. Just a few days he left me. He's already running around with somebody else. Next Friday, she gets a letter from Hamburg. He says, I'm just so glad to tell you that Paris was not the real thing yet. Right now I'm in Hamburg. This is for real. You cannot imagine what I have here. And do I have to go into details? Anyway, every week she gets a letter from another city. And she is so broken. Because on one hand she's so angry at him, but she still loves him. Anyway, after a few weeks she decides, I'm not going to subject my neshama to those letters. I just can't take it. And at home, her parents, a woman is separated. Her parents make it crazy. So, are you getting divorced? What's going on there? So she decided to go back to Florence, to her house. Anyway, she comes back to her house. And every corner in the house, so precious. She remembers, I was living here. I was so happy. So beautiful. And she goes from room to room. Suddenly she sees that in her husband's study there's a light. She's frightened, maybe a thief or something. Anyway, she somehow walks soft. And she looks into her husband's study, and he is sitting, writing a letter to her. He turns around. Kval is happy to see her. She says to him, what are you doing? He says, do you really think I could leave this house? I was here the whole time. He says, I just didn't want you to know how much I love you. So I have people send you letters from all the cities. If you remember, there were typed letters. It was not me. I'm sitting here waiting for you. So I said like this, if you're in Tisha B'Av and Chutz La'aretz, you get all those letters from God. Inquisition, 6 million. And it seems to you, how could you do this to us? But when you are in Yerushalayim, you realize the Rabbi never left the Beis HaMikdash. And the Rabbi was just sitting here waiting for us. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, Yoimar Elokecha. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, Yoimar Elokecha. Udobro le'Yerushalayim, V'kiru Eleha. Dobro le'Yerushalayim, v'kiru eleha. Oy, oy, Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, Ya'emar Elokecha. Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, Ya'emar Elokecha. Oy, 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 oy.
Shlomo Carlebach singing his own composition Nachamu from the Haftorah, which we read today in every shul throughout the world. Shlomo Carlebach, my guest, Dov Shurin, your host, and a host of other people sitting in the studios on Mount Zion. We're going to be right back with